Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a demo of the vaccine event survey for our Missouri COVID-19 vaccine navigator. Now, this survey is going to be used at the actual event of the vaccination, so where the person is actually, getting their shot in their arm. And it will be administered by the actual person who is going to be giving them the vaccine. So here we see the first page. And primarily what we're going to talk about here is we're going to circle back and talk about these walk-in buttons first. But you see the first page of this vaccine event survey is to find the person that we're going to be vaccinating, is that will be getting the shot in their arm. So there are two ways to do this. The first way that we prefer that people do is that the patient ID, which will be communicated to the patient multiple times at the end of their registration and in text and emails, and can be looked up even if they call our call center, that will be given to them. That is what we primarily would like to use to search on that patient. However, very likely that some people may forget theirs, may not have it handy, or just for whatever reason have an appointment but not have their patient ID handy. What we can do is just enter nothing on this page, leave blank, and just have them go here. What this will do is it will take, in a second when it loads, it will take us to this page where we can look up someone using their first name, last name, and date of birth. So here we're using someone called Ryan Smith, and we just enter in their first name, last name, date of birth information. So what we're going to do when we look up this person is we're going to find, this is the email we have for Ryan Smith, and this is the phone number we have for him. We're also going to get answers to these questions. He's immunocompromised, but has not received antibody treatment. And he said he reported that he recently received a vaccine, but it was, on January 1st, 2020, so it's a year ago. Might not need to ask any follow-ups. But if there are any follow-ups that need to be asked, they can be asked from the information here that Ryan previously entered. So one point that we're going to look at right now is to see that appointment 1 details, Ryan did not schedule for an event, so he is not scheduled for this event. He did not go ahead and schedule for this event, or any event for that matter. So if you didn't have enough vaccines to vaccinate every scheduled person, this would be an indicator that this is not a person that you should schedule that day. So you'd click never mind, no dose will be administered today. However, when we go back to the start of the survey, what we can do is pretend that we actually do want to register to vaccinate Ryan, because Ryan is a walk-in and we are taking walk-ins today. So this time I'm going to go ahead and use Ryan's patient ID. One thing I do actually want to show really quickly is I just changed the last number there. What happens if we use a patient ID that doesn't exist? And that answer is essentially nothing. You just saw the page reloaded here, and that's because our system did not find the patient ID, so it just sent us back to the start of the survey. Just know that if someone has given you the patient ID and that happens, and nothing happens when they go forward, that will mean that we don't have their patient ID. Now, again, we don't have them in the system. So the next time you should try and search for them by name. But let's say we've done that and we haven't found them both times. And let's say we are taking walk-ins. We can have them register here on this device that we're using to click to access the registration scheduling survey. This will let them schedule, like everyone already will have, through our scheduling tool, and will take about a few minutes to fill out. One small note, if you do have someone registering on site, is that you might need to take a few minutes between them actually submitting the information to our platform. Might need a few minutes to let that information get into our database so that you can access it in a different survey. So generally, rule of thumb is once they submit all their information on that survey, give it 1 minute, maybe 2, and then try and perform actions on them for this, vaccine event survey, so that you can know that their information will be there. However, we know that Ryan Smith is actually in our system. we don't need to go and create an entire new registration for this person. So we can just say, we click this, click if no appointment. One thing that is important to note is that even if Ryan, like let's say we're only vaccinating tier 2 and above at this point, even if Ryan was tier 3, and again, it does not matter on tier, if we're going through this click of no appointment, we can vaccinate any individual at any level of priority. So that's can be good to know that it won't, no matter what you do, you can always vaccinate a person. And it won't stop you if you try and vaccinate someone outside of our preferred tiers. So see here, we did find Ryan, which is why we didn't go back to the start on that. We could also have left that recip ID blank and then looked for Ryan. Ryan may have already gotten his first dose somewhere else, so this could just simply be their second dose. But for now, we're going to say dose 1. We also could select this option because for whatever reason, we made a mistake and wanted to end the survey. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for our survey. We only have a few in our calendar at the moment, so that's why this is all that's coming up. But we can get the information about where we are and what our event is and exactly enter it in here. This comes from other surveys and should be preset so that all you have to do is look up the name of your registration and you'll find the official name, and we can pull in all of the event information for the record that we're going to create for Ryan. So then further here, we come back to this confirmation screen with all of Ryan's information and health information. We see now he does have an appointment 1 information, and this time, instead of just having this never mind option, we are able to schedule we are able to administer dose 1. So just confirm with him that this is all of the correct information, and then once we have this, we can move forward with dose 1. And we get to a couple of final health screening questions, like have you ever had a fever of 1 or higher in the past 40 hours, or have you been instructed by a health official to quarantine? Let's see what happens if we select yes to these. Let's say, again, we talked about the waiting 14 days to administer this vaccine to the individual. We now give the option to the healthcare worker whether or not they choose to vaccinate the individual or delay vaccination of the individual if they don't feel comfortable with working with someone who may have been in close contact with someone who had COVID. So we leave this option up to the person who is administering the vaccine. So let's say they do want to go ahead with vaccinating the individual. We get this information up here. Now, one thing that's important that you may not see here is that this information, once entered once, will pre-populate. Now, the idea behind this is just to create as little data entry and as little repetitive data entry as possible. So once you do this once, you will have it pre-populated every time this same device goes through the survey until you need to change it. So let's say the lot number, we are going to say that it is Moderna 1234. This is pulling from some of our other surveys where they would have entered this information at the start of an event. And let's say that I am an MD and I am Dr. James Jones. We then choose the route of administration and then the site of vaccine administration. Again, we have every possible option here, even though we keep right arm and left arm at the top because those are most likely going to be the most common ones. But let's say if you were, at some sort of event that was doing right thigh, every time you come back through the same device again, right thigh would be pre-selected. But no, we're going to keep right arm for now. So we finally get to the actual vaccination itself. And, again, we do just keep displaying that this is for Ryan Smith with this date of birth. We tell them to provide a copy of the COVID-19 fact sheet. And from here, we see one final confirmation of all of the details and all the information we could possibly have with Ryan. And at this point, we can go ahead and vaccinate Ryan. And we finally press, and again, cannot stress how important it is. We need to press this last button so we make sure that Ryan's information is actually entered into our system. Again, we can see here, we go back to our original page. And if we did go ahead and put a different individual, because I can't use the same recip ID now, because Ryan would need to wait at least 14 days, although with Moderna it would be 21 days before he can schedule another appointment. But anyways, if I did go forward with a different individual, you would say all of that information, the Moderna lot number, the Dr. James Jones, and the administration sites would all be pre-populated, so we could get through this survey and have data entry be a little easier. And with that, that completes the overview of the vaccine event survey. And as always, if there are any questions, feel free to reach out to our team. Thank you so much.